Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Al with the Comic Haul crew, and I am coming to you with a new haul. It has been a minute since I've actually posted anything or put anything on the channel in reference to new comic books. Most everything I show is, of course, going to be on our live stream Saturdays at 8:45 Eastern Standard Time. However, I have amassed a great deal of books within the last 7 to 8 days, so I am going to be showing some of my newer books as far as new pulls, and a good bit or a great bit of old comic books or back issues for runs that I'm trying to complete. I wanted to start this video off by showing a blast from the past, Electronic Gamer Monthly. On our last live stream this past Saturday, we talked about CGC adding video games to their portfolio, and I actually dusted off a few of my magazines. Shout out to Electronic Gamer Monthly, EGM2, Game Fan, PlayStation Next, Next Generation, Game Pro, and a few others that I can't think off the top of my head. I was in video game magazines deep back then, of course, before the advent of the internet. I am a Gen Xer, so we didn't have the luxuries that they have now. Nonetheless, it was some good stuff in these books, and yeah, it's good to actually go back and reminisce a little while, then come back to reality. But shout out to EGM. Just wanted to show this one particular book, Tekken 4 and the PS2 goes online, y'all. So the very first book that I'm going to show is Basilisk number 2, or chapter 2 rather. Now this particular book, I do have number 1. I have not read it. I have talked to a couple of people who have enjoyed this book, number 1, and I've read that the book was a really good read. Boom Studios, and I have quite a couple of books, or a couple of books from Boom, in my pool this week, or for this haul. But Boom Studios, they're putting out some pretty good stuff. So hopefully one day soon I'll be able to sit down and read 1 and 2. That way I won't be too far behind, because I am way behind on my comic book reading, y'all. I'm just being honest with you. Next up, Crime Syndicate number 5. Now I'm a huge fan of Crime Syndicate. Although I read some DC, I do have a few DC characters that I follow. Crime Syndicate is one of my favorite groups out of DC Comics. I don't know why. I can remember reading some of my cousins' JLA comic books back in the day when I was a wee lad, and Crime Syndicate was actually putting the business to the Justice League. So, and me kind of like not being a fan of Superman, I'm sorry y'all, Chris, Sean, that was cool to me. Ultraman was the antithesis of Superman, which I kind of like an edge on Superman. You know, I'm not gonna get into any type of thesis or explanation on why I don't like Superman, but I'm digging the Crime Syndicate. So when this came out, I had to pick it up. So I'm really enjoying it thus far. I need to read issue 4. I'm actually up to issue 3 as far as what I've read. But I need to pick up I need to read issue 4 and then this one. But Crime Syndicate is a pretty good read. Next up, Geiger number 3. This is also a good book, good read. Jeff Johns of DC fame is the writer on this book. It has been a pretty good read thus far. I've read 1 and 2. With this one, I gotta read issue 3. Like I said, I'm behind on my comic book reading. Hopefully I'll be able to pick it up soon. Read this as well as the subsequent issue that I picked up, which is Geiger number 4. So hopefully I'll be able to get into it. I'm off this weekend, and I hope that I don't have too much. I don't think I have anything planned, so that'll give me time to get caught up on some things. As long as I can get, my house duties taken care of, then I'll sit down for a few hours with a stack of books and get caught up. Next on the list is the Immortal Hulk number 48. I was late to the party with this one. I actually came on the scene with the Immortal Hulk around issue 27, 28. So I've got to pick up the other books from 27 under. So if you know anybody that's selling these and not trying to get my spleen or kidney, then I'll be happy to talk to them, because I've read the books and I've seen some videos, a couple of the issues. I'm a stickler for not reading something until I get everything, but I have read a couple issues based on videos that I've seen on YouTube. And Immortal Hulk, man, I think Al Ewing has done a pretty good job based on what I've seen and heard. This is got 2 more issues. It's going to end at 50, and then Donny Cates is going to take over. So maybe the Hulk will become a symbiote god host or something. I don't know. Next up, Infinite Frontier. Now, I did read this book. I'm trying to center this up, y'all. I did read this book, and I told my fellow colleagues on the Comic Hall Crew live stream this past Saturday, this was a really good read. I've been following the whole DC landscape for quite some time, specifically with the death metal. Those 2 runs, a lot of people didn't like them, but I loved them. I thought they were pretty good. The multiverse is a fascinating thing for me, for both companies, DC and Marvel. But I'm actually more drawn to the DC's multiverse than I am with Marvel. But nonetheless, this was a really good read. Now, it was $10. You can see down here, it might be a little bit grainy, but it was $9.99, $10.34 with tax. But I will say, the stories were very well done. Joshua Williamson of Flash fame, he actually started on the Rebirth Flash, which I also collect. He actually co-wrote all of the stories, if I'm not mistaken, in this book. Now, the one story, which is the very first story in this book, centers around Calvin Ellis, which is alternate universe Superman. Now, most people know I don't really care for Superman, and I'm not going to go into any type of thesis as to why. However, with the way this story was written behind Calvin Ellis, which he's not only the Superman of his universe, but he's also the president of the United States. The way they wrote the story surrounding him and his duties as president, his obligations to the country, and then his obligations as a superhero, if they did a solo series or if they did an ongoing series on Calvin Ellis, I would buy it. No joke. If it kept that same intensity that the story in this book did, I would buy it. And I would follow it until it's canceled. Real talk. Mammo, #1. This is, I think, a Boom or Boombox. I don't know. I thought it was a Boom, but it's apparently Boombox Studios or publishing. This book, it's a #1 issue. The artwork is what attracted me. I mean, you know, as a comic book collector, if you are looking for comics and you're shopping, sometimes, you know, you tend to pick up books that catch your eye. The cover actually grabs you, and hopefully the story will keep you there. Well, this one, it was the actual the cover. It reminds me a bit of Peach Momoko. I don't think it's her, but it has, to me, an Asian Japanese feel to it, and I'm a huge fan of Japanese culture, Asian culture. So yeah, I picked it up, so hopefully it's worth the read. If not, it's just in my collection as a #1. I picked up 2 copies of that one, by the way. Next on the list, they say New Day rocks. They're cool. I ain't watched wrestling in a while, y'all. Or shall I say wrestling, like we say in the South. New Day is cool. Big E, Kofi, and I think it's Austin Creed. I cannot remember his name. He used to go by Consequences Creed in TNA, the guy right here. And they're cool. I like them. I don't think they're the best tag team in the WWE, which that was brought up this past weekend, but I digress. But the cover was cool. Chocolate Cheerios and pancakes with butter, they standing on top of it. I can imagine this is probably going to be something off the wall. I'm going to crack it open, read it. I was hoping that I could find, I think there's a variant they had a cereal called Booty-O's, and surprisingly it sold very well in stores. So I wanted to see if I could find that variant, but it might have been a ratio variant that you couldn't get unless you had to order a certain amount of books. But anyway, New Day #1, Power of Positivity, folks. All right, moving on. Another new book, Ordinary Gods #1. I am huge on independent books nowadays. I still, rock with DC and Marvel to a certain degree, but independent books are really, those artists and those writers really put together some good stuff. Now, I don't know anything about this book. It was a cover by. It's a wraparound cover, and if I can remember, Abraham Lincoln and some other political figures, the historical figures on the back. I don't know if this is a situation where each of the persons listed are actually gods in terms of superpowers, and they have a pantheon up in the sky like the elders that give Shazam his powers. I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to catch up with this as with many other books that I'm behind on, and maybe I'll do a video or do a synopsis. I don't know. Maybe not. But Ordinary Gods #1, I got 2 copies of that as well, because you know how it is now. Book blows up, it becomes a hot book like Ice Cream Man, and then next thing you know, you got people on eBay selling 9.8s for $8,000 of a book that just came out 2 months ago. But I digress, and I am exaggerating too. I hope y'all know that. All right, this was another cover by Skybound X1. Apparently there's some stories in here. Clementine from the Walking Dead game, which is, I've played the first 2 seasons of the Walking Dead game, and they were great. I loved them. They were simplistic, but the story was, well written in both of the games. I think there's a season 3. And I want to say they're going to do an ongoing series with Clementine as well, if you're familiar with the character. So I think they're bringing the Walking Dead universe back and centering it around her. I'm not sure, but I think that may be in the works. There's also a Manifest Destiny story in here, and Ultra Mega, which I bought #1 of that, still hadn't read it. What really caught me with this book, though, was the fact that apparently this is Rick Grimes. He is in a Green Lantern-esque suit, with blood all over him, and he has a lightsaber. So yeah, I couldn't pass this one up. I think it was like $5. So I'm gonna check this one out to see what it's all about. Why Rick Grimes is looking like a bootleg Green Lantern with a Jedi sword or lightsaber. It's a sword. It's a light sword for him, like Thundar the Barbarian. How many of y'all remember Thundar the Barbarian? If you remember Thundar the Barbarian, post a comment in the comment section. He rode with 2 other people. Thundar the Barbarian was 2 other people he rode with. Put their names in the comment section, and we might mention it on our next show. It might be a prize. I don't know. We'll see. Werewolf by Night #32, facsimile edition. Marvel, if they had Sense and Sensibility, they would do this for all their premier books. They had some Uncanny X-Men books that they came out with that I picked up as far as facsimiles. It's like when they do these facsimiles, they put a whole bunch of issues and titles in a hat and a baseball cap, and they mix it up and twirl it around and stuff, and they get somebody in the office, hey, pull something out of his hat, and then they just pull something out of a hat, and then they go ahead and do a facsimile of it. Of course, this book has been a banger. It's been hot for a long time. This is one of those books that I put in the same category as Incredible Hulk 181, which I ended up jumping on the facsimile for that as well. I used to have the original book, but that's another story, another video in and of itself. But anyway, yeah, Marvel, for whatever reason, they'll put out books like this, and they know people want it because, of course, this book is kind of to the point to where you, unless you just got it like that, this is enough. This book is not an affordable book for many. And even if you can afford it, you may not want to pay the prices that are being asked for it. But nonetheless, it is a popular, Moonlight is a popular character. So when I saw this, I said I'd pick it up. You know, maybe one day I'll have the original, maybe not. I'm not really checking for it, but who knows? Next book, X-Force number 21. Speaking of me not catching up, I am way behind on the X-Men mythos. I mean, that means X-Force, X-Men, X-Factor, New Mutants, Hellions. I am way behind. I am not ashamed to say that I have not really read X-Men since before the X of Swords story. So yeah, I am way behind. There's a story behind that I'm not going to get into, needless to say. I just need to make it up to McDonald's, Georgia pretty soon. So X-Force 21. I don't know if this is Krakoa attacking Wolverine, and I can't remember his name. I think it's Kid Omega. But yeah, they are in the slump. And I picked up the A cover of X-Men number 1. They rebooted this again. I get tired of Marvel rebooting these series over and over and over and over again, especially the X titles. For one, I'm not going to go on a rant on this haul video. There's so many X titles out there now. I don't collect all of them. I only collect maybe like 6 or 7 of them. I want to say including the solo titles, there's like 10 or 11. But I only collect the ones that have a main central story arc to the X-Men, the Powers of X and Powers of 10, and the other one that came out that Jonathan Hickman wrote. I can't even remember which one it was, but I follow the books that closely follow that particular story arc. So I need to catch up. I'm not reading this until I get caught up. I think this is like volume 6 or 7 of this book. I don't know. It's to me, and this is the book, the 90s version, not the Uncanny. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, they up to volume 6 or 7. It's crazy. Back in the day, you used to have a situation where if a new writer or artist took over, they would basically just take over the book at whatever issue. But nowadays, I don't know if it's narcissism. I don't know if it's Marvel just cash grabbing and number one's appeal to people. But nowadays, anytime a new writer or artist take over, they have got to restart everything from scratch. I honestly don't get it. But hey, you know, apparently there's some type of business motive behind it, or else they wouldn't do it. I think it's dumb, but hey, I'm just a comic book reader from Macon, Georgia, that's been collecting comic books for about 30 years. But hey, what do I know? So now I'm going to get to the older books, the back issues. That was the last of my new books. So the next few books that you're going to see are going to be books, back issues for runs that I'm trying to complete. I have quite a few, and I'm going to try to run through these as quickly as possible. But if I linger, please forgive me. Charge it to my head and not to my heart. Marvel Team Up starts it off, number 52, Spider-Man and Captain America. I think I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to just do 2 or 3 of them and then take them down like Matt does. Shout out to Matt Odom. Marvel Team Up number 70, Spider-Man and Thor with the living monolith on the cover. See that down there? The living monolith. Marvel Team Up number 72, Spider-Man and Iron Man. Whiplash is in the back. Crack that wheel. Now this book, I have a copy of this, but for the price that I got this one for, I couldn't pass it up. This is, of course, is Marvel Team Up number 74, Spider-Man featuring Spider-Man and the Not Ready for Primetime Players. Basically, this is the old school Saturday Night Live crew from the 70s. Garrett Morris, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, I want to say Bill Murray, Gilda Radner was part of this crew. They're fighting against the Silver Samurai of all people. And I think Stan Lee makes a cameo in this. Lauren Green, which is like the executive producer forever on Saturday Night Live, he's in this book as well. So I wanted to get this book because the one that I have is a really clean copy, and I get books like this, I want to actually slab it at some point. So not this one, but the other one that I have. So this one is going to be my reader copy for my collection. Take these down. And Marvel Team Up 99, SpiderMan and Machine Man. I'm looking for Machine Man #1. I'm actually looking to collect some of the Copper Age stuff from the 70s, and Machine Man is one of those characters. I don't think his run was that long, but I'm looking to actually collect those that series back in the 70s. Machine Man actually had a toy line, or he was an action figure back in the day, where he did all the stuff that he's doing on the cover. So Spider-Man and Machine Man. Wakanda Forever, Spider-Man and the Black Panther, number 87. I mentioned this on one of my previous haul videos, but it appears, I mean, for these to be Marvel team-ups, technically Spider-Man should be dead. I mean, he's shooting some shards of glass or some vibranium blades at Spider-Man, and yeah, I don't know why they I don't know. If anybody could tell me why on most Marvel team-up books they're beating each other up, please put it in the comment section, because I have no idea. I need to look into that. Because most of these books, when you see Spider-Man teaming up with somebody, most of them he's fighting. Which brings me to that point. Marvel Team Up 113, Spider-Man and Quasar. Whole Willem Dafoe about to chop them up like a honey-baked ham. So, but hey, yeah, that's the way they had it set up. I guess there was a reason behind it. Marvel Team Up 127, Spider-Man and the Watcher, Watu. Now, the Watcher ain't supposed to interfere in stuff, even though, the one we got his eyes gouged, that kind of like threw that out the window. Can't remember the name of that story arc. But yeah, Spider-Man teamed up with the Watcher, and apparently they're not fighting. So it's Christmas time, so I guess there may be some heartwarming stories in this book. I don't know. Now I love this cover right here, and I might try to find another one to grade or to slab. Marvel Team Up 128, Spider-Man and Captain America. Anybody my age, or Gen Xer, or a boomer, anybody that grew up in the 70s rather, should know what the deal is with this. I'm not going to even say, but I like photo covers like this, and I like the fact that they use the characters from the 70s TV show and the 70s movie as a cover for this book. So I like this so much that I may actually try to find another copy and get it slabbed. If I can get a high grade or either find one slab, that'll be great. A lot of times with slab books, it's not all about the value of the book in terms of key being in a key or something like that, or the first issue. For me, it's all about the aesthetics. Like, I have quite a few books that I've gotten slabbed that aren't keys, but they're beautiful books in my opinion. Keeping up with tradition, Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, number 142. Monica Rambeau is going to be on fire eventually. There's been an uptick on her annual, Amazing Spider-Man annual number 16, and I thought it was fitting to pick up the Spider-Man and Captain Marvel team up, not only because I need it for the run, but she actually showed up in Spider-Man. So next book, I got this book for a steal. I paid about $7 for this book. This is the last Marvel team up for the volume 1 run. Spider-Man the Uncanny X-Men 150. Spider-Man is walking away in the box up here. He's that Incredible Hulk the Incredible Hulk music from the 70s show is probably playing in his head. I don't know how many volumes of Marvel Team Up there is. I'm just trying to collect volume 1. So yeah, getting this one for a good price for $7 is not bad, because this book can run in upwards of $20, $25, $30 online with eBay, the Den of Iniquity. Next book, Marvel Team Up Annual number 6, Spider-Man teaming up with Cloak and Dagger and my crew, the New Mutants. Fun fact, back when the New Mutants was released in the 80s, I actually liked that team better than I liked the X-Men. I guess because they were younger, they were brash, and I guess during that time frame I felt like them, but I didn't have any mutant powers. So, but yeah, the New Mutants is, I would say, next to the X-Men, they are my second favorite mutant group of all time. Marvel Team Up Annual number 7, Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight, in my opinion, at some point they're going to make their way to the MCU, and it probably won't be until the X-Men show up. I like Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight is one of my favorite non-mutant teams in Marvel. So I'm hoping that Marvel or the MCU does something with them, and when they do, they bring them through, and they bring my boy Sasquatch is my favorite character. You know, I have an affinity for Sasquatch if you've seen any of our live streams. Nothing crazy. I'm into cryptological creatures, cryptids like the Mothman and the Loch Ness Monster, that kind of crap. All right, so moving away from Marvel Team Up, I got a few Avengers books. I got the Mighty Avengers 197. I had a copy of this one as well, but I picked this one up for a really good price. This is actually a key issue, and I mentioned this online on the live stream when I first bought this book. I'm actually trying to complete my Avengers run from issue 100 to 400. I just want that run, and I'm not trying to complete the entire run of the Avengers, but a lot of their stories back from the late 70s or the mid 70s to like the 90s. Specifically, you know, the Kree-Skrull War, Michael Korvac saga. One of my cousins used to collect the Avengers, and I loved them. I mean, I've always been an X-Men fan, but they had some really good stories too back in the day. So Avengers 197, and like I said, this is a key issue revolving around Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel. So if you want to find out, just go look it up, Avengers 197, and you'll see. Avengers 221. This was another book that I remember fondly in my youth, and I thought this cover was cool because, you know, it says who will be the newest members of the Avengers. I don't know if this was one of those situations where you had to mail in your vote, because I wasn't an Avengers fan back then to where I paid attention to that kind of stuff. But I just like the coolness of this this cover, you know, where they got everybody on there that could be a potential candidate. I was tripping on Rom the Space Knight. Shout out to Rom. But yeah, this is a cool cover. I mean, this is another one of those type of deals where if I found a high grade cover for this, I would get it slabbed because I really like the cover. And this is another book that I would get slabbed too if I found a high grade or found a slab. Keeping in tradition or keeping in line with the SNL cover for Marvel Team Up. And shout out to Matt Odom for getting this for me. This is Avengers 239. Apparently they were on set with David Letterman. So I'm assuming it was because of Simon Williams, aka Wonder Man, right behind David Letterman, because Simon Williams is an actor in the Marvel Comics continuity. So I've never read this book, but again, I'm just looking at the collecting these books. I just noticed that everybody has their back towards everybody else that's reading the book, so that's pretty cool. Down to a few more books, folks. I'm almost done. Thank you for staying with me. Fantastic Four number 272. Now, Matt and I were downtown Macon this past Saturday at one of our local comic shops, and he gave me this book. He said, pick it up. I said, okay. I don't really collect Fantastic Four, but it's a key issue. So yeah, if anyone knows, you could put it in the chat comment section. But yeah, I picked this up off the strength of Matt while we were at our local comic store down in Macon, downtown. This was another one that he told me to pick up. And Fantastic Four 275. I love the way She-Hulk is drawn on this book. And apparently that's Stan Lee down at the bottom. And I don't know, I think this is an homage to one of the Sensational She-Hulk books, or referral to one of the She-Hulk books, Sensational She-Hulk. But I really like this cover, and you know, he mentioned that there was something to this book, but I can't remember. But I went ahead and picked it up. Speaking of She-Hulk, I'm looking at completing the run of Sensational She-Hulk. So I picked up some She-Hulk books. I found She-Hulk number 3. She-Hulk, Sensational She-Hulk, number 10. And Sensational She-Hulk number 15, which this was a stealth buy. I paid $4 for this book. I did not realize that this was the first appearance of Gray She-Hulk. Now, again, I'm just collecting. I wanted to read the series of Sensational She-Hulk. I would like to collect Savage She-Hulk. I do have issue number 1 of that, but I don't know. But Sensational She-Hulk, I wanted to actually pick that one up and read it. I like Jennifer Walters. I like She-Hulk. So, you know, it's one of those things where hopefully I can get the book or get the series of the run before, you know, the series drops, and every other book in the series is considered a key for whatever reason. Keeping in line with She-Hulk, Sensational She-Hulk number 26, excuse me. She-Hulk has some pretty good covers. I like her covers. I mean, there's one particular cover, the one that she's on, I think she's naked, jump roping, and then there's another one where she's holding a beach ball. I think it was supposed to be some kind of homage or parody of a Vogue cover. Somebody was pregnant or something. But yeah, I'm looking to pick up all of her books as far as the Sensational She-Hulk run, and quite possibly the Savage She-Hulk run too. So wish me luck. Sensational She-Hulk number 30. She's up against the Hobgoblin, holding her own, looking very snazzy while she fights him. Yeah, so this one is part of the run that I'm trying to collect, of course. Now I'm down to the last book. This is part of the Sensational She-Hulk run. This was a pretty good pickup as well. I paid $8 for it. It's got a couple of issues, but I mean, I'm looking to read it. Not really looking for aesthetic purposes, but it is Sensational She-Hulk number 50. One of those foil covers that killed the comic book industry back in the 90s, but this is a dope cover. I like it. Like I said, she had some really nice covers back in the day. So I went ahead and picked this up. Like I said, I bought it for $8. There are a lot of people on eBay. The Den of Iniquity is what I call eBay now. But there are a lot of people attempting to sell this book for about $25, $30, $35 on up, based on the grade. So for $8, I went ahead and snatched it, you know, because like I said, with the show looming, there ain't no telling how many of these books are going to be ended up a key for some reason, because, you know, She-Hulk wore some British Knights in the comic book, and she had British Knights on in the show, and that book is going to end up being a $200 book. So that's the world we live in the comic book community currently, but you know, I digress. But anyway, this is the end of my haul. I do hope you all have enjoyed it. I may have another haul video next week, depending upon what I pick up this week. So if you like the content, you like this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and share if you haven't. We are on Instagram under the Comic Hall Crew. We do our best to try to keep everything current, keep new content on the channel. I am on Instagram under at DustyBrickBrown. However, I've taken a hiatus on Instagram. So if you happen to see me, just follow me. When I get back on, you know, I'll check you out and return the follow, you know. But yeah, we are doing our thing. And again, I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment, as I mentioned. And we hope to hear from you or see you soon. With that being said, this is Al with the Comic Hall Crew. You all take care and have a great one. Peace.